Tyler Warren, tight end out of Penn State, is a great fit to the Chicago Bears? Maybe. We're going to talk about that in our predictive 2025 NFL mock. That and more coming up next.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, your daily podcast covering your favorite draft prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your boy, Damian Parson. I'm an offensive draft analyst with Bleacher Report. That's my guy, Keith Sanchez. He is 2019 national champion with those LSU Tigers and director of scouting with the Draft Network. And as always, guys, thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydayers. Guys, it is NFL Draft Week. We've been waiting a long time.
It is
here. It's here, Keith. It's about time, man. Like LeBron said, it's about dang time we got here to be able to talk about where these guys are going to land. And guys, we got a fun one for you. Our final mock draft. We did a predictive mock. Keith took the odd picks. I took the evens. We're going to talk about our favorite picks, most interesting, and the most underrated picks. But before that, today's episode is brought to you by the all-new 2025 Nissan Armada. Stay tuned for the Armada Player of the Week later in the show. Keith, when I think about my favorite picks, right, out of our mock, and for, I would say for a decent amount, it was kind of chalky for a little bit. It felt like, and then we landed with some other spots, and I just stick with the fact for me, man, Tyreek McMillan, like I think the ideal spot. I talked about it. I think we talked about it last week when we talked about the top landing spots for him landing with the Dallas Cowboys. Paired up with CeeDee Lamb. They still got Jalen Tolbert. They have Ferguson, the tight end out of, I think, Wisconsin that they drafted a couple years ago. They got to find a run game. You got to find a run game. They got brought in Javonte Williams. Yeah, got to find a run game. But giving Dak Prescott a big body weapon, this allows CeeDee Lamb to move around a lot more, play back into his the spot where he's really effective most is in the slot, where he gets that two-way go. He's strong. He's crafty as a route runner. He's kind of if I could use this term, he's more of a street ball route runner, where it's like it's not this like crafty, super disciplined, like really nuanced route runner. Like this, he kind of doesn't feel. At times, I feel like CeeDee just does what he does. Like he gets open, he figures it out. It's kind of almost like Travis Kelce in the sense of what that connection he has with Mahomes, where they just let him free. Like sometimes he freelances some routes to me from the looks of it, but he does have route running in his bag. I think Tyreek McMillan, 6'4", 215. Big body guy that can make the back shoulder throws. The Dallas Cowboys haven't had a guy like this in terms of the ball skills down the field since Dez Bryant, in my opinion. That guy that can go up and make those tough grabs. And for those who are wondering, Dez did catch it against Green Bay, and it should have been a touchdown. But nonetheless, like that's how I look at it, man. I think Tyreek McMillan can bring that contested catchability, but also he can get open. He can make plays after the catch. I think him and CeeDee Lamb being a really good 1-2, then you allow with little expectations, Jalen Tolbert to bring some other things to the table as a wide receiver 3. I think I love this for Tyreek McMillan. And I also love it for Dak Prescott.
Yeah, I like the Dez Bryant kind of comp in the sense of the fact of what he can provide, right? Because everybody remembers Dez Bryant the top part of his game wasn't separating, right? Like this guy's a vertical speed guy. Matter of fact, I think that's partially might have been a little character things thrown in there, but partially why he went I think in the 20s or something like that, I believe, to the Dallas Cowboys. Why he didn't go like a top 10 pick, if I'm remembering correctly.
Check.
Yeah, I think part of the reason why it was because it's 40 time. I want to say he was a 4 or 5 guy, DP.
Yeah, 24th overall.
24th overall, yep. And I want to say he was a 4 or 5 40-yard dash guy. And I think that was from a pro day 40-yard dash. So, I can see that, and I like that as far as painting the picture, because we do comps, right? We do like, there's obviously direct player-to-player comps, but then I always like to talk about career trajectory comps, and what that player can provide. And I think that that's a really good comp overall. My favorite pick, my favorite one, I'm gonna leave for the most interesting one. And we're going to South Beach with that one. But my favorite pick, DP, I'm gonna go with the New York Giants. Just getting Shedeur Sanders, and there's no splash pick, it's nothing surprising, anything like that. But the more we hear about this situation with the Giants, them kicking the tires on the quarterback, it just feels like they have to, right? Like they have to come away with something. And we kind of talked about this a couple podcasts ago that I like. How do I want to say this? I don't mind trading back in and getting a quarterback, right? But what the New York Giants have to balance now because of the hard knock situation is they have to balance the media perception, right? And fan perception of them, meaning that if they got Jalen Milroe in a second round, which I think would be great value, right? Is that saying that you have that much confidence in him? You kind of get what I'm saying? Because and what I'm saying is the narrative, like let's say, you're sitting there watching ESPN and boom, they make the draft and they go back and get Jalen Milroe, is the conversation that, oh, okay, well, they liked them, they didn't love him. I think that the New York Giants brass, right? The ownership, GM, head coach, especially those two, because they're on the hot seat, they need to show some type of conviction, right? They know, like, we love this guy. New York Giants fans, I'm telling you, he's going to be QB1 soon enough, right? And so that way, like, because they want to believe in you, right? They're trying, and want to believe that you're making the best decision. So the more I look at it, it's like, one, I don't see how they can pass up on a quarterback. And then two, like you need to take them in a position and let your fan base know that, like, hey, nah, we really like this guy. It wasn't just a guy that fell to us or we had concerns. That's why we didn't want to take him that high. The fan base needs to believe that you believe in him, basically.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. Like, they definitely have to, the media perception, they're probably, we may never see a Hard Knocks during the offseason like that ever again. That type of access, we may never see that again.
Yeah, so all the NFL teams turned it down, and they're going to North Carolina now. So they're going to
I bet it makes sense.
Yeah,
let's go watch a college team where it's not really any pressure, because like the stuff that we saw during the Hard Knocks thing, the scout saying, I don't really think Christian Wilkins is a guy to go get it on third downs, even though he led the league in third down pressures as an interior defensive lineman. And just the Saquon Barkley debacle, and it was too many cats let out of the bag in New York to all the other 32 teams said, listen, we might have some situations where we have these discussions and we want to be transparent with the fans, but no, we're going to get lit up. You know what I mean? And I think that makes a lot of sense, Keith. But I'm going to say, I'm going to throw this pick at you. I want to get your thoughts on it. I think the Chicago Bears getting Tyler Warren out of Penn State, tight end. You have Cole Kmet, right? Like, because Genty doesn't fall to you at 6. He gets selected at 6. He doesn't fall to you. This is a team that, to me, they don't have a bunch of glaring needs. You look at Tyler Warren, I feel like this is a team that can bring him in. And if there's but there's a couple offensive-minded guys in terms of coaches that I would trust with the talent of Tyler Warren, and Ben Johnson is one of them, right? The way he was able to get Sam Laporta open, the different mesh concepts, crossers, things of that nature. And then it's just some fact that, hey, in Detroit, we had a good talent receiver to where you didn't have to carry the passing offense. Well, now in Chicago, we got a good talent at receiver. And we already have a tight, technically, air quotations, tight end one, to where the guy is a veteran, to where you don't have to walk in and live up to the hype that the draft community has bestowed upon you this entire time. I think this will probably be a really good fit for Tyler Warren, more long term. For those who play fantasy, he probably not gonna give you much for year one. Like, don't be drafting them year one to be an immediate contributor. But I think long term, he could be a very good option for Caleb Williams in the middle of the field and underneath, to pair well with the big body guy that is Rome Odunze, and then the do-it-all player that is DJ Moore.
Yeah, no, I didn't mind it at all. And I think, that is the pick that you made, right? I think that was you. You put Tyler Warren to the Bears. And when I seen it, I was like, okay, I don't think I've seen this before, but I actually don't mind it. And like you said, because you need a big middle of the field guy. And obviously they still have Cole Kmet. But, you talk about teams that's balanced, right? And you're talking about, running 12 personnel and potentially 22 personnel and things like that. This now gives you the opportunity to do that, right? So to where you make the defense have to worry about, do we have 3 linebackers on the field or 2 linebackers in a nickel, right? And then what type of nickel do we have? Do we have a small nickel? Is it a big nickel? Is it a coverage nickel, right? Like, you make them do different things and have to worry about personnel on the other side. So I didn't mind the pick at all. But DP, it's time. It is time to get into the most interesting picks, and I already hinted at it. I have one. I have loaded and ready to go coming up next.
Did you know that your Fire TV is also on the Xbox? Turn any TV into a gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices, no console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe or sign into Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports College Football 25 to Call of Duty Black Ops 6 Avowed as easily as you stream your favorite shows. It's gaming made simple, and it's all on your TV. With 4K streaming, watch more than 1.5 million movies and TV episodes from your favorite subscribed services like Netflix, Prime Video, Disney Plus, Max, and more. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K 2nd Gen, Fire TV Stick 4K Max 1st and 2nd Gen, and Fire TV Cube 3rd Gen. The most interesting picks from our predictive final 2025 NFL mock draft here during the week of the draft. Keith, you said it down in South Beach. You made a pick that was interesting, and I think I did a show last week, and I kind of talked about this a little bit, and so the Locked On fans know how I feel about it. Keith, talk to him. You took Matthew Golden, and you put him to the Miami Dolphins down in South Beach. He goes from one hot state in Texas to another hot state in Florida, but he gets the opportunity to catch passes from Tua and pair up with Jalen Waddle.
Speed, right? Speed is the name of the game down there in Miami. Now, listen, does it equate to winning AFC championships or Super Bowls? Nope, but that's what they do, right? They've almost adopted the model with the Raiders used to have, right? When they used to just draft the fastest guy, right? Whoever runs fast, draft them. But I look at it, and the reason why is because of the Tyreek Hill situation, right? You don't, I'm trying to find the right word to describe Tyreek Hill. I think I'll go with active. I think that's the most politically correct, right? He's just an active guy, right? Yeah. And so what that means is you don't know if the trade is about money or if the trade is, hey, I want to get out of here because I want to get back to winning Super Bowls, right? I think it's a blend of both. I think he's tired of losing. I think they're in a search of situation, right? So Mike McDaniels is not going to change his scheme. And you've seen more importantly, the best version of Tua Tagovailoa, and we've talked about these Alabama quarterbacks, has been with guys that separate, right? That's why we've even talked about Matthew Golden potentially going to Carolina because like these Alabama quarterbacks are used to guys that run fast, those deep overs, those crossers, things like that. Yep. So you put Matthew Golden back in Miami, so then that way, if you want to move off of Tyreek Hill, you can. And I think that's why when I made the selection, I was like, this one is one that I could see happening on draft night, and potentially it could be an AJ Brown situation where you get a trade and you get the draft, right? Like just think about, remember, AJ Brown got traded, and then the Tennessee Titans in that same exact draft drafted Treylon Burks. Now, did the Treylon Burks situation work? No. All I'm saying is that it's possible because we've seen it before. So that's how I looked at that one, DP. Just decided to throw a little curveball in there.
No, I like the fact that you brought up that AJ Brown trade because I don't think anyone really saw that coming.
Nobody.
Right? I don't think anybody saw that coming. Mike Vrabel didn't see that coming. We watched his reaction after the trade actually took place, and he had to take off. He had to walk off, hit a Bad Boys 2 moment, and kind of woo-saw, rub the ears a little bit, and say, "I need to calm down because this is our top player." After or alongside Derrick Henry, and this was not discussed. You could tell he was not part of that discussion.
I'll tell you this.
That was not discussed with him.
No, it wasn't. And to be completely honest, if you're talking about a situation where you knew the Tennessee Titans were destined to be picking number one, it was that situation. That 5-second frame,
100%.
Them trading AJ Brown and Mike Vrabel getting up and walking out the room. It's like, yeah, this is about to blow up. This is going. That was
the precursor that everything is about to change.
That was a wrap.
That was the precursor to all of it, Keith. So I love the fact that you bring that trade up because again, nobody saw it coming, and the only thing it was that this man just wanted his money and he earned it. You know what I mean? AJ Brown earned his money, and well, then it didn't happen. Then they didn't want to pay him, whatever the case would be, and then they traded him. And the situation with Tyreek Hill is like, okay, yeah, like I'm looking at his contract details right now, Keith, on overthecap.com. And Tyreek Hill, like if I'm looking at this correctly, I believe the Dolphins have an out after this year to get rid of him. Like they could, yeah, after 2025, if they traded him at pre-June 1, like in 2026, they would save themselves, if I'm looking at this correctly, $36.3 million. They would have a $15.5 million cap hit. So that'll even out to probably like 20. They'll probably save about $21 million, somewhere there, 20 to 21 million if they traded him pre-June 1. So that's like during the draft. If they traded them after June 1, they would save $39 million and only have a $12.7 million cap hit. So like it's a possibility, and just the fact of like there was some off-field stuff that keeps popping up with Tyreek. It's a chance. Like there's definitely a chance. And Golden also, the way Texas used them late in the season, like you go back to that game against Georgia, the pre-snap motion into the running start to get the full speed takeoff on the flat-footed defender 6-7 yards off the ball. We see that with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle in Miami. Like Mike McDaniel uses that stuff in his offense, and again, they love speed. Like they got a bunch of fast running backs, they got a lot of fast receivers, and they need some size and some toughness in some area of this team. Yes, but nonetheless, they want to beat you. They want to outrun you. They want to be faster than you at every level of the team.
Yeah, and you can't lose twice. And what I mean by that is that you can't trade away Tyreek Hill, who's, obviously at his very best and productive. He's an all-pro wide receiver, right? He's top 5 guy in the NFL. But in trading him, you can't lose him, but then also Tua Tagovailoa regresses, right? He comes back to pre-Tyreek Hill being there and them, having Jalen Waddle also. So that's the other part, is that you have to try to supplement it with the closest thing possible. And you talked about how they used him, talking about Matthew Golden, how they used him at Texas. DP, I've said this and I'll say it again. I think that, and this is context, right? That a lot of people are hesitant on Matthew Golden because they're like, okay, the back end of the year production. But let's say if Matthew Golden, he came back next year, right? Everybody would have him locked as a top 10 pick. So you kind of get what I'm saying? Like, what's the difference? Like, I don't get it. Like, if literally in 4 months, we're going to come out with a 2026 NFL mock draft. And if Matthew Golden came back, everybody will put him potentially as a top 5 pick, right? And be like, hey, that Matthew Golden, I'm telling you, he's going to light it up. So if you feel that way now, why not take the swing on him? Like, nothing is happening in these 4 months. But, people are talking
about the tape.
Yeah, trust the tape. And like I continue to just kind of illustrate is that, and I think I talked to Peter Bukowski over there on Locked On Packers. We were tweeting about it, is that you have to kind of understand context when it comes to coaching staffs and what happened, and explaining that is that, hey, do you see his production take off the back end of the year? Yeah, because he was probably moved to wide receiver 1 role. They were calling plays for him. When he came there, he was just like the coaching staff could have been just like everybody else. They were thinking Isaiah Bond was going to be the guy. He was the Alabama transfer. He was the 5-star kid. And then you have this young man from University of Houston coming in. We like him, but we giving Isaiah Bond a nod, right? And then it probably took halfway through the season and said, wait, Matthew Golden might be our number 1 guy, right? And it's possible for that to be the case. So I just think that you have to add context to it. And like you say, trust the tape. And I believe that Matthew Golden is going to if he goes to a situation with a good quarterback, he should plug and play what he did the back half of the year. Because I think he's that good.
No, route running, yards after catch, speed, explosiveness, ball skills, tracking, late hands. Like the things are there that train. Keith, I say this, I feel like I'll beat a dead horse with this. Stats don't travel. Like whatever you did in college, like I don't care what target share a guy had. I don't care how many yards he had. I don't care how many touchdowns he had in college. That doesn't travel. Like you said, the context of how things played out, the context to the process, is what travels. Why did he have such a great back end of the year? Well, turn the tape on and watch him separate. Watch him go from receiver to runner instantly. Watch him get open and make plays and kind of right some wrongs, even when Quinn Ewers wasn't most accurate on the deep ball. Like, watch him do the things that translate to the league. That's what matters. Those traits and skills and abilities. That's what matters to me going to the league, not the stats of how many yards and touchdowns you put up. Because, yeah, production is cool, but how did you get that production? That's what matters to me.
Yep, that's the story. That's the story with DP. Let's do this, man. We have one more left. And what are we talking about? Underrated picks. Which ones are flying under the radar that's going to change a franchise future? We're going to talk about that coming up next.
The Armada Player of the Week is brought to you by our friends at Nissan and the all-new 2025 Nissan Armada. Each week, we take a look at our prospects to pick one guy that stands apart, the guy we believe showcased the strength and power needed to push your team forward as we look ahead to next season. And this week's Armada and clear-cut Player of the Week is Alabama offensive lineman Tyler Booker. Tyler Booker is big, he's strong, he's rugged, physical, and heavy duty with his hands and the strength. This is a guy that wants to move people the same way the Nissan Armada can move things for you. And when it comes to the Nissan Armada, they say go forth and conquer, and that's exactly what I think Tyler Booker can do here. It's clear that our Player of the Week is out here ready to conquer the road ahead with confidence, just like you can in the all-new Nissan Armada or any of their outstanding vehicles. Take the Nissan Armada, Rogue, or Pathfinder and go find your next big adventure. Just shop NissanUSA.com. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Time for being our everydayers. Most underrated picks in our predictive 2025 NFL mock draft. Keith, I'm going to go right to pick 25. This is a team that I think report came out recently that they're looking at wide receiver, the Houston Texans. I don't mind it, especially with the gruesome injury Tank Dell had and no Stephon Diggs and everything of that nature. Man, Walter Nolan, for them to sit at 25 and get Walter Nolan and put him in this DeMeco Ryans defense with Danielle Hunter, with Will Anderson, and you're just like, if you're whoever is under snaps in Indianapolis, I project to be Anthony Richardson. If you're A-Rich, you're not happy about this. If you're Trevor Lawrence, you're pissed off. You know what I mean? Because your O-line is still going through a reclamation and, they're trying to get that situated. You know what I mean? And if I'm Cam Ward, I'm like, yeah, I'm not really happy about this either. Like, I have to deal with those three guys twice a season. Yeah, no, think about going into that stadium. It's rocking and rolling. This team is on the win streak. 3rd and 10s is going to be half near impossible to get through with those three guys on the defensive line. This is a pick that I think if this happened, I think I can see people like reacting to it, but it might go a little underrated in my opinion until we get to the season. They're saying, man, he's one of the top interior defensive linemen in terms of pressures in the NFL as a rookie, because now you don't have to get doubled. How do you double team Walter Nolan with Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson Jr. on the edges? Like, that's half near impossible, because if you choose to double team him and give them a bunch of one-on-ones, either way, your quarterback might be dead to rights.
Yeah, it makes it difficult, right? And you've seen what the Texans when they played the Chiefs in the playoffs, right? That front and that defense was giving the Chiefs O-line problems, right? And that was probably a precursor.
Same thing with the Chargers. Like, they were getting after Herbert.
They was getting after Herbert, yeah. And that was probably a precursor of what was going to happen to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. But it's a nice selection. And the guy I'm gonna go with, DP, selection you made, and is one that I think is appropriate and could change some things, and that's Omarion Hampton to the Broncos. I really like that one. I think you put him potentially in this offense, right? What you're talking about, some spread concepts, out of shotgun, things like that, things he's used to doing at North Carolina also, right? And you potentially give him lighter boxes, because at North Carolina, he was the guy, right? Everybody knew he was the dude. Now you give him running lanes and creases, and this 220-pound running back running full steam at defensive backs, there will be business decisions made on the part of defenders when trying to tackle Omarion Hampton. So I like this from a balance perspective. Also, you look at it, Sean Payton is not afraid to go after running backs, right? Like he likes running backs, and that goes all the way back to drafting Reggie Bush, right? Drafting Reggie Bush, number 2 overall, drafting him, and then they followed that up a few years later they were the team that went after Mark Ingram, because Mark Ingram, remember, he ran the slow 40 time, and they were still like, you know what, we'll go get him, right? And so they don't mind. He doesn't mind drafting running backs early, and also he knows how to use them from a perspective of, I guess, using them in screens and things like that. So
yeah, nice little manufactured touches, getting the ball to him in space, let him make those plays. If I feel like truthfully, I feel like that's what's going to happen. I think both tight ends are going to be off the board. Denver's one of those Denver and the Chargers are the other two teams that are looking at tight ends and upgrading the tight end spot. But if the top two guys are gone, yeah, man, that's kind of how I think Omarion Hampton, if the Broncos are on the clock and Loveland and Warren are gone, I think they say, let's go ahead and get our top running back. Let's go ahead and give Bo Nix that balanced attack with the run game, take that pressure out. Then you think about late. This is a cold weather team too, in high altitude. Late in the season, right? It's cold in Denver. You got some home games. You making the defense huff and puff, and now not just from a tempo standpoint and them having to try and catch their breath in that altitude, but then also you got to deal with 6 foot, 220 pounds, and that physicality. Like, you don't feel like hitting in the cold. That's where it changes. It's different if it's 90 degrees. You're like, we're good. All our bodies are warm. When it's freezing cold, potentially snow, the worst thing you want to do is hit a brick wall. Like, that's the worst thing you want to do. And that's what Omarion Hampton brings to the table with Keith. The guy that I think another one for me real quick was that I looked at, because there's a couple picks I could have went with, but Malachi Starks, I drafted for the Eagles. Malachi Starks falling all the way down the board, and Howie Roseman just sits there, and he's like, well, I did it again. Like, he's like, I did it again.
Bulldog.
Like, got me another Georgia Bulldog, got me another difference-maker and playmaker, and gives them, I think they still have Reed Blankenship, who's was solid for them, good for them. But, like, for the foreseeable future, him and Malachi Starks and Sidney Brown, like,
that's a nice 1-2 punch. You're talking about very complementary pieces to each other.
Yeah, man. With Cooper DeJean and Quinyon, and potentially we see with them letting go of Darius Slay. Now you got somebody, whether it's Keely Ringo, somebody got to step up at that other outside corner spot. Like, this secondary could very well be one of the scariest ones in the league to deal with, because you would then have playmakers at every level of the secondary, at the corner spot, deep into the safety spot. You could go too high with Sidney and Malachi. You can rotate down, let Sidney be a robber, because you know what he can do, and he also could play man to man. That was probably one of the. I remember that game. We broke it down ourselves when we were still at the Draft Network. Him versus Sam Laporta in college, one of the most fun, competitive safety versus tight end matchups that we've seen, and that game stamped both of those guys for us. We're like, you know what? I want both of those dudes on my team. So I think adding Malachi Starks to a healthy Sidney Brown with Quinyon and Cooper DeJean and everything. And plus, if it is Keely Ringo or somebody that you like, you look at it like, okay, he may not be the strongest corner at our spot. We got two safeties that make some things a lot easier for him, and they can play it up to their skill set. So I think Malachi Starks, underrated pick, falling down to 32. Howie Roseman says, yeah, we did it again.
Yep. With DP, that wraps up a draft week mock draft. The draft is only 4 days away this Thursday, so make sure you guys tune in. It is here. It is here. It is here. It's time to get it rolling, man. My name is Keith Sanchez. You can find me on X at The Talent Code. That right there is my guy, my co-host, Mr. Damian Parson. You can find him on X at DP_NFL. And like we like to say, man, y'all come talk to us, because we like to talk back.
Go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts, to get the latest episode as soon as it is available. Guys, on tomorrow's show, we're going to talk about those prospects that could fall into or climb into round one, but also fall out of round one. And we have some hot takes for you. So that and more on tomorrow's show. Come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.